Nora wasn't supposed to find the box. It had been buried beneath old winter clothes, taped shut so tightly it looked intentionally forgotten. Dust covered every side of it, thick enough to suggest nobody had touched it in years. At first, she almost ignored it, but then she noticed her handwriting. Crayon, messy, childlike. Across the top of the box, 6 uneven words were written in faded blue ink. Do not open after age 24. And that immediately made her stop breathing for a second. Because tomorrow, Nora was turning 25, and Nora realized something unsettling. She didn't remember writing that at all. The attic suddenly felt colder than before. Not physically cold, just still in a strange way. Like the air had been waiting for her to notice the box. Her fingers hovered over the lid uncertainly. Part of her wanted to laugh it off. Some weird childhood game. Some dramatic thing kids do when they think the future sounds mysterious. But another part of her, the quieter part, already felt uncomfortable. Because the handwriting was hers, undeniably. And that familiarity made her chest tighten more than the message itself. Slowly, she peeled away the old tape. The sound echoed softly through the attic, too loudly. Inside the box were dozens of folded papers, drawings, hundreds of them, crayon sketches, pencil outlines, childish stick figures. At first glance, they looked random, until she unfolded the first page completely and froze. It was a drawing of a car accident, rain, a broken guardrail, a flipped vehicle near water. At the bottom of the drawing, in messy handwriting, were 4 words, "Daddy won't come home." Nora's stomach tightened instantly, because her father did die in a car accident when she was 7, on a rainy night near the river highway, the exact same place shown in the drawing. Her breathing slowed, not panic, recognition. Because she remembered drawing constantly as a child, but she didn't remember this, and Nora realized something terrifying. This drawing had been made before the accident happened. Her hands trembled slightly as she searched for a date. Bottom corner, faded, but visible. 3 months before her father died. A chill moved slowly through her chest. "No," she whispered automatically. But the evidence remained in her hands, still, undeniable. She quickly unfolded another drawing, then another, and another. Each one made her breathing worse. A sketch of her childhood dog lying beside a fence. Caption: Milo gets sick here. Another drawing: her mother crying in a hospital chair. Caption: Grandma leaves in winter. Another: a broken staircase railing. Caption: Nora falls at 14. Her chest tightened painfully, because every single one had happened. Exactly. And suddenly, Nora understood something horrifying. This wasn't coincidence anymore. Her eyes moved frantically through the box now. Dozens more drawings remained folded, some with dates, some without, some stained like she had cried on them while drawing. Her breathing became shallow, because now one terrifying question repeated louder and louder inside her mind. How many of these hadn't happened yet? The attic light flickered softly overhead. Nora looked down at the box again, and for the first time, she noticed something strange. The drawings weren't organized randomly. The ones that already happened were stacked on top. The untouched drawings, still folded, sat underneath, waiting. And that realization made Nora understand something chilling. Her childhood self already knew which events were still coming. Her fingers trembled as she slowly reached toward the next folded page. A sudden wave of dread hit her chest so hard she almost stopped. Because deep down, she already knew. If the first drawings were real, then the unopened ones might still be her future. And suddenly, she wasn't sure she wanted to know it anymore. Some childhood memories fade for a reason. Because if you remembered what you once knew, you might spend your entire life waiting for it to happen. Nora slowly unfolded the next drawing. And this time, the person in the picture was her, standing beside a grave with tomorrow's date on it. Nora stared at the drawing so long, her eyes started burning. The paper trembled slightly in her hands, but she barely noticed, because all her attention was locked onto one detail: the date on the gravestone. Tomorrow, her 25th birthday. A cold pressure slowly tightened around her chest. Not panic, not yet. Something worse: anticipation. And Nora realized something terrifying. Fear feels different when the future already looks decided. The drawing itself was simple, almost innocent in style. Childish crayon clouds, uneven grass, a cemetery sketched with shaky pencil lines. And there she was, standing alone beside a gravestone. The figure clearly represented her. Long dark hair, oversized hoodie. Even the tiny scar on her left knee had been included, a scar she didn't have when she was a child. Her breath caught sharply, because that meant one thing: this wasn't a guess. And that realization made her stomach drop. The drawing included details her younger self couldn't possibly have known yet. Slowly, she looked toward the gravestone in the picture. The name written on it was smudged heavily in black crayon, almost scratched out intentionally, but beneath it, the date remained visible: tomorrow. Nora swallowed hard. "No," she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction, because every drawing so far had been accurate, every single one. The attic suddenly felt smaller than before, the silence heavier, like the room itself was waiting for her reaction. Her fingers tightened around the paper as her mind raced desperately for explanations. Maybe her mother made the drawings afterward. Maybe someone manipulated the dates. Maybe. Her thoughts stopped instantly because she noticed something in the corner of the page. A sentence, written in small, uneven handwriting, almost hidden. "You won't listen until it's too late." A chill crawled down her spine, not because of the sentence itself, because it sounded personal, specific, like the drawing wasn't predicting something. It was communicating with her. And Nora suddenly realized something unsettling. Her childhood self may have been trying to warn her all along. Her breathing became shallow. She quickly reached for another folded paper beneath it, then froze. Because this one had her name written across the front. Not Nora, not me. Her full name, carefully written, as if it was meant specifically for this moment. Her fingers hesitated before unfolding it. The attic light buzzed softly overhead, then steadied. Nora slowly opened the paper, and immediately felt her heartbeat stumble. It was a drawing of the attic itself, this attic. Same wooden beams, same hanging light bulb, same storage boxes, even the same open window behind her. The drawing showed Nora sitting exactly where she was now, holding drawings in her hands, looking frightened. And at the corner of the page, a dark figure stood behind her, watching. Her body went completely still. And Nora realized something horrifying. This drawing was happening right now. Her breathing stopped for a second. She turned around instantly. Nothing. Only darkness behind stacked boxes and old furniture. But the fear didn't leave, because now she understood something worse. The drawing had never been wrong before. Slowly, very slowly, She looked back down at the paper and noticed something she missed initially. The dark figure in the drawing didn't have a face, just a shape, tall, still, watching her. And beneath it, another sentence had been written shakily in crayon. "It finally came back for us." Her chest tightened painfully. Us, not me. Us. And that single word made Nora realize something deeply unsettling. Her childhood self was afraid of something she believed already existed. The air in the attic suddenly felt heavier. Her skin prickled instinctively, not because she saw something, because she felt watched now. Actually watched. Her eyes slowly lifted toward the far corner of the attic. Darkness, stillness, nothing unusual. Yet her body refused to relax. The same instinct kept repeating louder and louder inside her chest. "Don't stay up here." But she couldn't stop now. Not after this. Not after realizing the drawings weren't random memories or predictions. They were records, warnings, maybe even messages. Her hands shook slightly as she searched deeper into the box. More folded papers, some thicker than others. One sealed completely with tape. One stained dark around the edges. And one labeled in large, shaky letters. "Do not look until it sees you too." Nora's breathing became uneven again, because deep down, she already knew, whatever her younger self feared, wasn't in the future anymore. It was already here. The worst part about predicting the future is realizing the future may already know about you too. A soft sound came from behind the attic boxes. Not movement, breathing. The breathing stopped the moment Nora looked up. Silence swallowed the attic again so quickly that for a second she questioned whether she imagined it entirely. But her body didn't believe that. Her body had already reacted. Every muscle remained tense, her heartbeat uneven, her skin cold, because instinct recognizes danger faster than logic ever can. And Nora realized something chilling. She was no longer scared of the drawings. She was scared of whatever inspired them. Slowly, she stood from the floor. The old attic wood creaked softly beneath her feet. Too loud. Every sound suddenly felt exposed up here. The hanging light bulb swung slightly overhead, though she didn't remember touching anything. Her eyes remained locked on the dark corner behind the stacked boxes. Nothing moved. Yet the feeling remained. Watching. Waiting. And that stillness frightened her more than movement would have. Her breathing stayed shallow as she stepped backward carefully toward the attic ladder. Not running. Not yet. Because part of her still needed answers more than safety. Her gaze dropped briefly toward the sealed drawing again. The one labeled, "Do not look until it sees you too." A horrible thought slowly formed inside her chest. What if the breathing meant it already had? Her stomach tightened instantly, because suddenly, the warning no longer sounded metaphorical, and Nora realized something terrifying. Her younger self wasn't trying to predict events. She was documenting encounters. The attic felt colder now. Not emotionally. Actually, colder. Her breath had started appearing faintly in front of her. That wasn't normal. Not in summer. Not in this house. The light bulb flickered softly once. Then again. Nora swallowed hard. Every instinct screamed at her to leave immediately. But another feeling overpowered it. Curiosity. Dangerous curiosity. The kind that survives even while fear is begging you to stop. Slowly. Very slowly. She picked up the sealed drawing. The paper felt thicker than the others. Heavier somehow. Like multiple pages had been taped together tightly. Her fingers hesitated at the edge. And Nora understood something unsettling. Part of her already believed opening this drawing would change everything permanently. The attic creaked softly behind her, not the house settling. A footstep. Her entire body froze instantly. The sound came from the opposite side of the attic. Slow, measured, not loud enough to prove anything, but enough. Enough for her instincts to know she was no longer alone. Her breathing became uneven again. "Nobody's there," she whispered automatically. But the words sounded weak, like she was trying to calm herself more than convince herself. The silence stretched painfully. Then, another step. Closer. Nora spun around sharply. Nothing. Still nothing. But now the hanging light bulb swung harder overhead, and she noticed something she hadn't before. The attic window behind her was open. She was certain it had been closed earlier. A cold breeze slipped slowly into the room, and with it came a smell. Wet dirt, rain, old wood. Her chest tightened painfully because suddenly a memory surfaced. A childhood memory she hadn't thought about in years. Standing outside this same attic door at night, hearing movement upstairs, hearing scratching sounds above the ceiling, and her mother saying firmly, "Don't go up there after dark." At the time, Nora thought it was normal parenting. Now, she wasn't so sure. And Nora realized something horrifying. Her mother may have known about this long before she did. The sealed drawing trembled slightly in her hands, not moving on its own. Her hands were shaking that badly now. Another creak sounded behind her. Closer this time. Too close. Her throat tightened. Slowly. Terrified of what she might see. She turned her head toward the dark corner again, and for one brief second, she saw someone standing there. Tall, still, half hidden behind the boxes, watching her silently. Nora gasped sharply and stumbled backward. The figure disappeared instantly, but not before she noticed one detail that made her blood run cold. Its face looked unfinished, like a drawing not fully completed. And that single image made Nora understand something terrifying. Whatever this thing was, it may have come from the drawings themselves. Her breathing became ragged now. The sealed page in her hands suddenly felt unbearable. Because deep down, she already knew. The answer was inside it. The thing her younger self feared most. The thing connected to all the predictions. The thing that kept appearing around the edges of her life without her noticing. Her fingers slowly peeled back the old tape. The attic light flickered violently overhead. And the moment the seal broke, something heavy slammed against the attic door downstairs. Some childhood fears are imaginary, but some are memories your mind refuses to explain properly. And sometimes, the thing you thought was following your future has actually been waiting for you to remember it. The attic door began shaking violently downstairs, like something wanted to get in, or something wanted to keep her from leaving. The attic door slammed again, harder this time. The entire staircase beneath it rattled violently, sending dust drifting from the ceiling beams above Nora's head. She froze where she stood. The sealed drawing hung loosely in her trembling hands, half open now, while every survival instinct inside her screamed the same thing. Don't look at it. But it was already too late for that, because the moment the seal broke, something changed in the attic. The air no longer felt abandoned. It felt occupied. And Nora realized something chilling. Whatever had been connected to the drawings was no longer staying hidden. Another violent bang shook the attic door downstairs. Her breathing became shallow as she stared toward it. The old lock strained loudly. metal scraping, wood cracking, but beneath the noise, she heard something worse. A voice, soft, almost whispering, calling her name. Nora. Her blood ran cold instantly, because the voice sounded familiar. Not her mother, not her father, her own voice. Younger, childlike, and that realization made her stomach tighten. The thing downstairs wasn't imitating random sounds. It knew exactly who she was. The attic light flickered violently again. For half a second, the entire attic darkened. And in that darkness, Nora saw shapes. Not one, several. Tall, unfinished figures standing throughout the attic, frozen in unnatural stillness, like charcoal sketches waiting to be completed. When the light returned, they were gone. But the feeling remained. Watching. Everywhere. Her breathing shook now, because she understood something terrifying. The figures weren't appearing randomly. They were becoming clearer the more she remembered. And Nora suddenly realized something horrifying. The drawings may never have predicted the future at all. They may have been feeding something through attention. The thought hit her chest so hard, she nearly dropped the papers. Another slam echoed downstairs. The attic door cracked slightly this time, a thin line of darkness visible around its frame now. The childlike voice whispered again, "Nora, don't stop now." Her throat tightened painfully, because the tone sounded afraid, not threatening. Afraid, like her younger self was trying desperately to warn her before something happened. Her eyes slowly dropped toward the partially open drawing in her hands. The paper inside looked darker than the others, not stained, drawn differently. The crayon marks pressed so hard into the page, they nearly tore through it. Her fingers shook as she unfolded it completely. And immediately, her breathing stopped. It wasn't a prediction. It was a sequence. Several drawings connected across the page like frames in a story. The first showed a little girl sitting alone in the attic, drawing. The second showed one of the unfinished figures standing behind her, watching. The third, the figure was closer. And in the final drawing, the little girl's face had been erased completely, replaced with an empty outline. At the bottom of the page, written over and over again in frantic handwriting, were the same words. "It copies people who see it." Nora stumbled backwards so quickly she nearly fell. Her heartbeat slammed painfully against her ribs. Because suddenly, everything made sense. The unfinished face, the delayed movements, the familiar voices, the reflections of people it observed. And Nora realized something devastating. The creature wasn't hunting randomly. It was learning how to become human, piece by piece. The attic light dimmed slowly overhead. And this time, it didn't brighten fully again. The room sank into a dull yellow haze. Deep shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls. Her breathing became ragged, because now she understood why the figures looked unfinished earlier. They weren't incomplete drawings. They were incomplete copies. And the more attention they received, the more detailed they became. A slow creak sounded behind her, closer than before. Nora turned carefully and felt every muscle in her body lock instantly. One of the figures stood near the attic window now, perfectly still. Its body looked clearer than before, more shaped, more human. And this time, part of its face looked exactly like hers. Her chest tightened painfully. "No," she whispered weakly. The figure tilted its head slowly, studying her, learning her. Its unfinished mouth twitched unnaturally, trying to smile. And that was the moment Nora understood the true horror of the drawings. Her childhood self wasn't predicting deaths or tragedies. She was documenting the stages of something copying her life. The attic door downstairs burst open violently. Heavy footsteps started climbing upward. Slow, measured, not rushing. And the figure near the window smiled wider, as if recognizing the sound, like it had been waiting for something to finally arrive. The scariest monsters aren't the ones that kill you. They're the ones that slowly learn how to become you. The footsteps stopped directly outside the attic entrance. Then Nora heard her mother's voice whisper softly through the door. "You opened the box, didn't you?" Nora couldn't move. Her mother's voice remained just outside the attic entrance, calm in a way that immediately felt wrong. Not surprised, not confused, certain. "You opened the box, didn't you?" The unfinished figure near the attic window slowly turned its head toward the door, almost curiously, while the footsteps downstairs stopped completely. Silence swallowed the house, heavy, expectant. And Nora realized something chilling. Her mother already knew exactly what was inside the attic long before tonight. Her throat tightened painfully. "Mom?" No answer came immediately. Only the soft creak of the attic stairs shifting under slow movement. Then her mother stepped into view. And the first thing Nora noticed was the fear in her eyes. Not fear of Nora, fear for her. Her mother looked older than she remembered just hours ago, exhausted in a deeper way, like someone who had spent years waiting for something inevitable to finally happen. Her gaze locked instantly onto the opened drawings scattered across the floor, then toward the unfinished figure near the window. And for one brief second, her face collapsed completely, like hope disappearing. And Nora suddenly understood something devastating. Her mother had spent years trying to prevent this exact moment. "Get away from it," her mother whispered sharply. Nora's breathing shook. "What is that thing?" The unfinished figure remained motionless, watching both of them silently. Its face looked clearer now, more complete, more like Nora with every passing second. Her mother stepped slowly closer, without taking her eyes off the creature. "When you were little," she whispered carefully, "you started drawing things before they happened." A pause. "At first, we thought it was coincidence." Nora swallowed hard. "But it wasn't predicting events," her mother continued. "It was seeing through them." The words settled coldly into Nora's chest. Her eyes flicked toward the figure again. And suddenly, she noticed something horrifying. It wasn't becoming clearer randomly. It became more detailed every time someone looked directly at it. And Nora realized something terrifying. The creature existed through observation itself. Her mother's voice trembled slightly now. "We tried burning the drawings." Nora's chest tightened. "They came back. We moved houses." It followed. Another pause. "And eventually, you stopped remembering it." The unfinished figure twitched slightly near the window. Its smile widened unnaturally, like it enjoyed hearing the story. Her mother's breathing became uneven. That was the only thing that weakened it. Nora stared at her. "Forgetting?" Her mother nodded slowly. "Yes." A pause. "It survives through recognition." The realization hit Nora instantly. The drawings, the memories returning, the attention, the observation. Every moment she spent trying to understand it made it stronger. And suddenly Nora understood the horrible truth. Her childhood self hid the box, not to preserve the drawings, but to bury the creature with them. Tears burned in her eyes. Then why write the warning? Her mother looked at her silently for a second. then whispered, "Because part of you knew you'd open it anyway." The unfinished figure took one slow step forward, closer. Its face now looked almost entirely like Nora's, except the eyes. The eyes remained blank. Empty white outlines like unfinished sketches. Her breathing became ragged. "What happens if it finishes copying me?" Silence followed. Her mother didn't answer immediately, and that silence terrified Nora more than anything else tonight. Finally, very softly, her mother whispered, "It replaces the version people remember." Nora's blood went cold because suddenly, fragments of memory shifted strangely in her mind. Childhood photos where she vaguely remembered looking different. Moments from school where people forgot conversations with her strangely quickly. A horrible feeling crawled through her chest, not all at once. Slowly, like pieces disappearing over time, and Nora realized something horrifying. This thing may have already been taking parts of her identity for years. The creature smiled wider. Its unfinished lips finally moved, and when it spoke, it used Nora's voice perfectly. "You remembered me?" The attic light burst violently overhead. Darkness consumed the room completely. Nora gasped sharply, and in that darkness, she heard movement everywhere. Not footsteps, pencils scratching rapidly across paper, dozens of them, drawing fast. Her breathing became panicked because suddenly she understood what the creature was doing, creating new memories, new versions, new copies. The light flickered back on for one brief second, and the attic walls were now covered in fresh drawings, hundreds of them, all showing Nora, different ages, different moments, different endings, some smiling, some faceless, some completely erased, and in the center of every drawing, the unfinished figure stood beside her, watching, waiting, learning. The light flickered again. Darkness returned. Then, one final whisper came directly beside Nora's ear. Soft, gentle, complete. "We almost match now. Some monsters don't kill people. They slowly replace the version the world remembers. And once that process begins, you stop noticing what parts of yourself are disappearing." The next morning, Nora's mother found the attic empty. No box, no drawings, only one framed childhood picture sitting alone on the floor. In the photo, Nora was smiling, beside another little girl nobody remembered ever existing.